Mm. Ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and TikTok enjoyers, lovers, followers, everyone. Welcome back to episode 27 of the Dark Dimension TikTok series, where I sit here, eat some food, and react to some TikToks. Now, usually, we would have done this on a Friday. And I'll explain the whole reason why we do this as usual. I'll do the whole little intro spiel in a little bit. But I just want to preface with this is, I hope to dear God, going to be a speed round episode because the last episode, episode 26, was kind of short because I was so tired, because I am overworked both in life and in job and in everything, and in brain capacity. So, this is where the last episode was a little short, so I thought I'd give you guys an extra episode. Now, I thought I would record it on Saturday. That didn't end up happening. I thought I would record it on Sunday. That didn't end up happening. And right now is Monday morning. And in about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... in about 6 hours, I have work. About 5.5, really. But I said I was going to get another episode out, and realistically, you guys aren't going to see it until a week later. But I said something, and I'm going to do it. So we're going to do, hopefully, a rapid review of the TikToks I've sent myself a while back, which I don't remember, as always. And what's the reason of me doing this, you might ask? The reason is to show people the truth of this universe, the truth that we live in the dark dimension. That even if you believe everything's gonna be good and you believe in hope and friendship like this is fucking fairy tale the anime, but in real life, that you are wrong. Because a lot of people have this belief that if you just try hard enough or if you just believe everything will be good, which is important, it is important to have that belief and feeling. That doesn't just make things okay, and there's a lot of people that simply just don't make it no matter their belief, even if they believe everything will be okay, or if they believe in God or in anything great. You know, sometimes people just get fucked. And a lot of what society says is it brainwashes people into thinking like, oh, if you believe everything will work out, it will. No, it fucking won't, and society is burning, and we need to fucking do something about it, even if we still can. Because I feel like we can. But anyway, yeah, Dark Dimension is just to prove that we live in a dark dimension and we need to do something about it. Or just to prove that I was right in saying that we do live in one. But anyway, yeah, so aside from that, there's a big ad for my Twitch channel, Twitch TV Tecnics channel. Go watch me there. Anyway, let's get right into it. We don't have time for lollygagging, so let's just get right into the bullshit.
We can't afford our rent. We can't afford our prescriptions. We can't afford insulin.
I very much agree with this caption right up here. I really feel like, and this is where I can honestly say, like, objectively, this is probably getting into a bit of conspiracy theorist shit. But I can probably, I can decently say I feel like there's a part of it that's true, that we really are being either controlled or brainwashed by the ultra rich. I feel like to an extent they can control us, but to an extent they could definitely influence us. And as I always say, we're like sheep. In fact, that might be the episode title here. We are sheep. I gotta write these down because I don't remember them. But anyway,
We can't afford healthcare. We can't afford our education.
It's just so frustrating that we did everything they told us to do. We went to school, we got educated.
And the sad part is that worked for them. Going to school and getting educated for them was like either near free or like free. And it actually did help them because back then it wasn't as saturated as it was today. And the culture was different. Back then, if you had a college degree, you got a pretty decent job. I remember I went to my doctor's office, right? When I was like still in either high school or like at the beginning of college. And I was asking around for a job. And this is before I got hired by my college at like a near minimum wage. But I was asking around for a job and I asked the receptionist how did they get their job. And they told me they get paid decently well. And all they do is reception, which I never want to do, but, kudos to them. But it's not a hard job. And they said literally out of high school, they got this job and they've been here ever since. And they've gotten paid well to where, like, they can afford anything they want and stuff. And they've gotten raises over the years as well, and they've gotten good benefits and this and that. All out of high school, they never went to college. They're making more than some college people. Now, obviously, it depends on the major and how much of a hustler you are, your connections, nepotism. But generally speaking, a lot of people in the older generation, and obviously not everyone, I don't want to make all-encompassing statements here, but a lot of people basically got it easier, not from, their own choice, but just how things were set up. So, yeah, let's keep going, because again, I want to get caught up. I want to at least get, like, less than a month behind.
We worked hard. We did everything they told us to do. And then when we're actually out in the world, they want to charge us $1,800.
Look at this shit. Look at this shit. And I recently keep looking at the rent of a single bedroom in the Bronx. It's near like the 2000s. In fact, let's take a look at it. Single bedroom apartment, Bronx, average rent. Ready? Let's take a look at Zumper. $2,125. Let's take a look at rent.com. Oh, look! Look! 2,600. Who can afford this? Who can afford this shit? There's like I don't know.
For a 1-bedroom apartment that really ain't shit.
Yeah, honestly.
And then when they talk about, oh, the future is gonna be great for you, you just gotta work hard and stay down. How?
Yeah, you know what it is now and again. I always say, I mean, I'm gonna repeat 90% of what I've already said, but I always say the internet took the wool over our eyes. Like it removed it. Now we could see. Why are we incentivized to work so hard? Because it makes the people on top richer. And they always were getting rich off of us, but at least back in the day, we also got something too. There was something to look forward to. There was a light at the end of the tunnel. Now there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's not even a light at the end of the fucking street. Because we can't even, most of us, can't even survive on the majority of jobs that are out there and pay for living, for, shelter. It's crazy.
A lot of people don't have savings. They're spending it all on basic shit.
Yeah, and remember the statistic, at least 60% of Americans, and that's probably lowballing it with how statistics works, only have $1,000 or less in savings.
Like housing and groceries. And what scares me the most is that more and more people are becoming aware of how fucked it is.
Because of the internet.
And all we do, we record a video, we post it on TikTok, we post it on Instagram, we post it on social media, and then we say, well, I've done my part, and we close out the app, and then we go about our day. That doesn't fix anything.
How amazing that this guy has said everything I've said.
Millennials, we just got to watch our parents try their best and be successful. They all had homes and 401ks and
which don't exist anymore.
Health insurance.
Which is terrible now.
They're we just did our best. And then they were telling us, they're just go to college and you can do anything.
Yeah, you could get in debt.
If you just go to
I love your Duncan shirt, by the way.
College, you can do anything. So we all went to college and now we're in debt. We have no fucking money or jobs or housing. Everything sucks. And then they're well, why didn't you go to trade school? And we're
how can you be mad at someone who literally does not have what they need to survive?
This is why, and this is where I don't really blame a lot of workers, a lot of people who have regular jobs, because I have a job, right? I get paid almost next to nothing, and I'm miserable. I don't know how people can do this and not shoot themselves, because it's so depressing to where I don't blame them if they don't want to do their job good, because who wants to? These things are suck ass and you're not getting anything for it. You're literally living in misery. This is why if I see the McDonald's worker having a bad day and going slow or messing up an order, I'm never gonna give them an issue, because I just feel so bad that they're even working at McDonald's because it's so shitty. And imagine what they must deal with outside of life if they're working at McDonald's. They probably don't have a good life anyway. No, I'm not trying to generalize or anything, but it's if you're working at McDonald's, I'm assuming you're not making much and you're working like a slave.
When it's the corporations that have been underpaying people for years.
Yo, look at her. Look at her.
Productivity is
Jesus,
up.
she's gonna be egg everywhere, even on
they're
her.
not. And our money.
I like how the worker in the back just didn't care.
Our tax dollars go
to Ukraine.
To welfare, to supplement corporations not paying people what they should be.
Don't wake up and the first thing on their mind is money. Everybody don't think about a dollar consistently. I gotta hustle 24/7. I gotta have 10 streams of income. I gotta learn how to flip houses. I gotta learn how to sell on Amazon. I gotta go to door to door.
Job selling.
And sell vacuum cleaners. I can't just have my job and go home, enjoy my money, enjoy my time with my kids.
Not anymore. If you want a full-time job now, and I'm talking from the viewpoint of New York. If you want to have a full-time job, you gotta be making at least $60K or more a year to be okay. Again, I will always bring up this thing that Mr. Wonderful said. Mr. Wonderful was told someone was making 50K, and Mr. Wonderful is Kevin O'Leary, by the way. Fucking bald dickhead. Kevin O'Leary was told that someone's making 50K in New York, and he said, are they living under a rock? That's how he views 50K in New York, and he's right.
The United States, y'all work in order to survive. Y'all
Sad.
don't work in order to enjoy yourselves. And unfortunately, that's the way that the system is set up in the United States.
Wake up,
Big facts.
check your feed, check your texts, check your emails,
Cry a little bit.
go to work, get 100 things done,
Cry a little bit more, and then make your overlords more money than you will ever make ever
get home
in a year.
late, attempt to have energy for stuff like your kids, chores, hobbies, etc. Fail miserably, feel awful, and then repeat.
Yup. It's literally like SpongeBob, where the guy went to work, was miserable, came home miserable, and the wife was like, "Are you coming to bed?" "Yes, dear." And then he just kept doing it. It was the most depressing thing ever, and it's come true. It's so sad. And the worst part is, it doesn't need to be this way. Also, on the palate today, I have some pork and some french fries and some grapes. It doesn't need to be this way. That's going to be another title. I like how it's a song by the Blow Monkeys. That's interesting. But anyway, yeah. Let's keep going because we're already spending a lot of time on this.
You endorse free health care, free college, and free child care. How do you plan on paying for this
Taxes.
without creating a bigger deficit than we already have?
So this is where ideally you'd want to like rebalance things. You wouldn't want to spend so much on one thing, and you want to spend it a little bit more on here. You would take something away from something else, you know, if the goal is not to charge people more.
And I'm not sure that the wealthy tax would ever pass where 50% of Congress are wealthy people.
It's true. This old lady knows. And this is where I think more and more people are realizing, and hopefully the rich are realizing that we're realizing, because they can't hide it from us, that the rich are not paying their fair share in taxes. If the rich paid their fair share in taxes, which in a previous episode we showed just from Social Security alone, how they could solve, I don't know how much of the problem, but a big chunk, if not all of the problem of Social Security running out for normal everyday people, if there wasn't a cap on it. Why is there a cap on it? That cap is archaic and it doesn't make sense. The fact that there's a cap means the rich people get away with it because it hasn't changed. And again, I told you, I think Elon Musk hits that cap in 17 seconds or something, like 20 seconds. He hits the Social Security tax cap in 20 seconds, and he doesn't have to pay any more for it. Whereas for us, we have to pay it, and that tax actually affects us. It takes away from what little we already are making. Like, it's crazy. And she's saying it here, too. The people in Congress are wealthy people, so why would they pass something that's going to take away more from them, even though it doesn't affect their daily quality of life? It's crazy.
Good point. Okay, first of all, let's take on that word free. This is not free. This is your own tax dollars that are paying for these things. That's first of all.
No, it's paying for Ukraine.
Second of all, how did they pay for that $2 trillion tax cut in 2017, where 83 cents of every dollar went to the highest earners and the richest corporations? It is now established it will never pay for itself. But canard was, oh, you let these people have all that money, they will reinvest, they will create jobs.
Oh, no.
That is not what happened. They do not reinvest. Their business model is not job creation. It is job elimination.
You know what I think it's become? I think it's getting to the point where now this person who's, I think, running, because it says candidate, it says Marianne Williamson for president 2024. I feel like she's rich, right? I'm pretty sure we can all agree she's probably rich. And I think what's happening now is it's become a trend for the rich people to call out other rich people saying like, yeah, you know, this money didn't go to you guys. It went to them. 84 cents or whatever on the dollar went to them. They took all of it. They didn't reinvest it. You know, rich people bad. Meanwhile, they're a rich person. And even though they'll say all these things of how it's bad, once they get elected, they won't do anything about it. I feel like they're just winning the people over by agreeing like, yeah, you know, rich people bad, even though I'm a rich person. And then, you know, again, they're just not going to do anything about it because they're also rich.
That money went to their
I hope to be wrong, though, but I doubt it.
stockholders and to stock buybacks. Take the trillions of dollars spent in.
I remember what I always say. The best way to get rich, and this isn't financial advice, but the best way to get rich, do what the rich people do the stocks.
Afghanistan for 20 years longer than we should have been, and that was such a spectacular failure. Look at the trillions of dollars spent in Iraq. We're already spending money. That is wasted money. That is tragically misspent money. Money that has caused tremendous damage and tremendous squandering of America's resources on.
Yeah, meanwhile, are we going to talk about the I think, what was it, trillions of dollars that are just unaccounted for by the IRS every year, where we literally don't know where it goes?
every possible level.
It might be billions though. Don't quote me on the trillions part.
We should be spending what money we have, and yes, we have the money, to help people thrive.
We do.
You know, again, quoting President Roosevelt, he said that we would not have to worry about a fascist takeover in this country as long as democracy delivered on its promises.
And now that it's not, look at what people are doing. They're saying, maybe socialism isn't so bad. Which maybe it isn't, right? Maybe it is the next logical step after capitalism. Because no system is perfect, right? And there's always going to be evolutions of it. Because look at feudalism. Feudalism didn't stay. It transformed into capitalism. Capitalism isn't going to last forever. It's going to transform into something else. Same thing with whatever comes after and after and after. This is where I don't know if there's ever going to be an end, but it's definitely not capitalism. Capitalism isn't the end-all be-all, especially in the end stage we are of capitalism, where we're obviously seeing the cracks.
That's why we should be spending the money on health care. That's why we should be spending the money on tuition-free college and tech school. That's why we should be spending the money on our people.
As I've always said, the biggest three things that I think will never go away in America because the rich people don't want it to, because they make so much money off of it. Number 1, mortgage. Number 2, student debt. Number 3, medical bills.
This is what the political elite don't want you to know.
Oh, and how would you know? Maybe because you're the political elite.
Even though you do know it, people's lives are falling apart.
Big facts.
People are dying of deaths of despair.
Oh
in the
my God,
1970s,
what?
the average American worker could afford a house,
Yep.
could afford a car, could afford a yearly vacation, could afford for one parent to stay home if they wanted, and could afford to send their kids to college.
No way.
That was called a thriving middle class.
Now, this is where, I don't know if she's omitting details, because I don't know how it was accurately back then, but I'll tell you this, right? I'll tell you this. Back then, the average, I don't know how much it was, but today the average I think is around like either 50 to 70,000 in terms of like income. I think that's the average income of an American. Let's actually look it up. Let's fact check ourselves here, using the obviously unbiased and totally truthful internet. Average American income yearly. So in 2021, it was about 70K. It was literally about 70K, and that's the median. So average is a little bit more skewed. Median is more exact, more true. Median, 70K in 2021. So in 2023, which is where we're at now, it's probably going to be a little higher because of inflation and stuff. So we'll say 70, 80K. This is where you can probably get a house with 70, 80K. It's just you're going to have to take out a mortgage, which nowadays is terrible. But aside from the whole, like, economy crashing, which is right now, the whole recession that might happen, and the whole Fed constricting the interest rates, you could still get a house. It's just, again, you're gonna have to go into really bad mortgage. Now, this is where back then, I don't know if you had to get into mortgage or you could just buy it outright. I'm pretty sure you had to get a mortgage, so it's not that it's necessarily that different, but this is where I don't know the specifics, where maybe now it's a lot worse because of the mortgage, or it really is just that unaffordable, where even with 70K average or higher, like 70, 80K average, you still can't afford it. They still won't even give you the mortgage, or it's just like undoable. But I feel like with 70, 80K, it's not bad. Obviously, depending on where you are in the country. New York, good luck. But, yeah, I don't think it's too bad.
It has now been decimated, hollowed out by this massive transfer of wealth to the tune of $50 trillion into the hands of 1% of Americans.
It doesn't even sound like a lot of money anymore.
And they're going to ask us, how are you going to pay for it? People are paying for this with their lives.
Oh.
We should not be just spending all this money so that those who already have an easier time getting more, and those who do not have a harder time even surviving. Too many Americans are living on a level of economic survival in the richest country in the world.
Yeah, not rich for the most of us. Hey, look. Oh, yeah, look, donate to her. Yeah, look at what she just said. You're paying for it with your lives. Why don't you pay a little bit more for her? So I have nothing against Marianne Williamson. I just take her as another rich person. But I take it as, like, again, now what the rich people are doing is they're calling out rich people, even though they're a part of it. So I don't know if that's what she's doing. I very highly doubt, and again, this is no knock at her, but this is just against rich people in general. I feel like all of them are just speaking bullshit when they say these things. Again, if she were to get elected, I doubt she would change things. And that's just because that's what the system has basically shown me at this point. The whole system of like how the rich people operate. And it's sad to see the comments here, right? And you know, it even makes me question, because we're in an age where, again, we have to question everything. Literally, one of the things I learned today from debating one of my aunties was remember that guy we showed before in a previous episode, the one with the credit card company who paid his employees like $70K a year. He took a pay cut and he gave them like actual good wages, and how like they called him a communist, and how they said it was gonna fail but it didn't, and how that was very similar to Ford. Apparently there's, you know, it developed into the situation where he did that just for looks, and you know, he probably did help his employees, but he's actually like a pretty evil guy, because he did a lot of fucked up shit, and working at his company wasn't good. Surprise, surprise, working isn't fun. And yeah, it actually kind of just all kind of exploded, and it wasn't as good as I thought it was, which, you know, I didn't think it was that great anyway. I mean, the pay at least was good, but yeah, no, apparently a lot more stuff came out that it wasn't all cherry roses like I thought. But anyway, so yeah, same with Marianne here. It's just, from what I've seen, I don't even know what's true anymore, and I just don't believe her. I don't believe anything. I'm from Europe and hope for y'all she wins. See, I wonder if these are paid for, if these are like inserted here from like bots or something, like people she hired, or some shit like that. Because you never know anymore. Because now with all the election stuff that ended up happening with Trump and all the allegations and shit like that, it's like, how do you know if like anything is legitimate anymore? It's so crazy. But anyway, let's go next. We're taking too long.
Republicans claim they love America.
Oh, yeah.
We love America.
We love America.
I have faith in America.
I believe in America.
I love our country.
Oh my god, he's hugging it. He's about to make out with it.
Don't seem to like the American people.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave.
They consistently oppose reforms that a majority of Americans believe would make their lives better.
I just remember, like, back in the day, in a previous video, we saw a graph of, like, you know, what is going to get passed versus how much you lobby. So the people in Congress and their government don't pass the stuff the people want on the graph that was shown, if we're going to take it as true. What they actually pass is what they get lobbied for. Surprise, surprise.
Like raising the minimum wage, paid family leave.
You want to spend time with your kid? And we have to pay you for it? Get the fuck back in the office.
And student debt relief. And these supposedly America-loving Republicans also seem to hate American cities,
I fucking love
which
Robert,
is where
right?
80% of Americans live.
That's my city.
Infested rat holes.
He's not wrong. Okay, let's be honest. Trump is not wrong.
Disgusting.
True. And it's sad because it's from Marjorie Taylor Greene, but true.
A disaster.
I can't comprehend how people live there.
Yeah, I can't either.
So they must love rural America, right? Not so much.
I fucking love Robert Reich so much.
Republicans have historically tried to block Medicaid expansion and cut its funding, which rural Americans have especially benefited from. They've sided with big ag over independent farmers. And they're continually trying to cut food stamps, which rural Americans depend on even more than those in cities.
Wow.
So maybe it's the land itself they love.
The truth huggers. What
Except that while in
I love all these stupid little clips.
office, Donald Trump rolled back more than 100 environmental regulations, making it easier to pollute America's air, water, and land.
Listen, at this point, with how the environment's going, I think we've already been fucked. Like we saw, I believe in a previous episode, that the people, the environmentalists, were like literally handcuffing themselves to JP Morgan and Chase banks and stuff. And they were like, it's becoming almost too late. I think that time has passed. I think we're kind of just past the point, not where we're like completely done, but where things can't go back to where they were. Jesus Christ. Relax on Obama era requirements for companies to monitor and repair leaks at oil and gas facilities. Oh my god. Bro, this video is so well made. I love it.
2 million acres of federally protected and culturally significant land to oil drilling.
Fuck the Indians.
So what's left?
Fuck the oil, you know, Fuck the Indians, let's get that oil. We love oil, we're America. Let's go to war.
I know the brave men and women who defend this country.
Oh, dude, it's so sad what happens to veterans. This actually gets me so upset. Yep, there it is. I don't even know what the GOP is. This is where I give Vivek Ramaswamy his credit, where he says a lot of Americans don't know how this country's run and the rules and everything. Where if you're a foreigner coming in and you have to pass the civics test or whatever the fuck it's called, and again, look, I don't even know what it's called, right? This is where they probably know more about how America works than I do, and I've lived here my whole life. I was born here.
I'm really grasping at straws here. Sadly, Republicans are increasingly rejecting America's core principles. They're attacking freedom of speech with book bans.
The attempted banning of books here in America.
That's always happened, though. That's happened, like, throughout history.
Attacking freedom of assembly with laws restricting protests.
They've always been doing that. I'm not saying that specifically the Republicans. I mean just America in general.
And they're rejecting the separation of church and state.
We should be Christian nationalists.
Oh my god.
And I'm tired of this separation of church and state junk.
Listen, I mean, let's be honest. There really isn't a separation of church and state. Because what do the presidents and stuff have to do? What do you have to do in court? You have to swear on the Bible, right? There's literally, like, church and state combined. It's obvious.
On the full armor of God.
Is that Ron DeSantis, that crazy asshole?
Let's pray together, may we?
Let's pray together. Yo, it's crazy how, like, blatantly just hypocritical we are.
Republicans are even shunning democracy itself.
No
denying
way.
election results. Passing laws that make it harder to vote.
Oh my god.
And kicking out legitimately elected lawmakers they disagree with. It's time to stop letting Republicans claim the mantle of patriotism without actually being patriots.
So as we could see, Robert Reich is definitely vilifying one group. This is where, again, I don't know much about both groups, and I don't believe either group should be vilified. I think both are bad. It's just, I don't agree when one is basically said, like, oh, this is evil, and you just ignore the other one.
Patriotism means loving freedom.
I love freedom. I
The
love
freedom
going to work.
make your own healthcare choices. The freedom to choose who and how you love.
Ooh.
Freedom of speech. Freedom of assembly. Freedom to unionize.
Damn fucking straight. We need more unions. Everyone should have a union. This is one thing I say, right? The same way I say America won't get rid of mortgages, health bills, you know, and student debt. I feel like everyone should go to a chiropractor, go to a therapist, and have a union. I think those are like the three things everyone needs to do.
We are still here, and we will never quit.
Tell 'em!
Patriotism also means wanting Americans to be free from the fear of gun violence.
Good luck.
And free from crushing student debt.
Good luck.
Above all, patriotism involves strengthening our democracy.
Yes.
True patriots don't put loyalty to their political party above their love of America. True patriots don't support an attempted coup.
My goodness.
Now is the time for the rest of us to reclaim patriotism and affirm its true meaning.
My God. So yeah, I love Robert Reich, but this is definitely anti-Republican, obviously. And again, I think both sides are bad, just in different ways. If you ask one side, they're the angels, the other is the devils, you know. Same shit. So, I don't necessarily want to condemn Republicans, although I have heard they're pretty bad. But same as, you know, same as Democrats. But anyway, let's go next.
They don't want us to produce more, because if we grow more, we are going to buy less.
Oh, that's how economics works. That's true.
How is it that one of the most fertile regions in the world isn't providing for its people?
Because yeah, I can already guess what's happening. Now again, it's been so long where I'm not bullshitting. I don't remember what happened in this video because I sent it to myself probably a month back. But I'm gonna guess that they're not providing enough for their own people because the country or whoever is their boss is stopping them from making more past an amount because of economic reasons, or they're taking what they do have and they're just exporting it to where there's not a lot left for the people.
Thanks to an American law, the Jones Act.
The Jonesies Act?
Goods entering Puerto Rico must make a pit stop in Florida and
Oh.
arrive on American-made, owned, and operated ships.
Monopoly.
Result? Grocery prices in Puerto Rico are 25% higher than on the mainland.
We need to riot.
And, making matters worse, products leaving Puerto Rico are also bound by the Jones Act, inflating prices of their exports, making them simply too expensive to compete with those from other countries.
Crazy.
So what's left? High prices and little investment in agriculture. It's absurd. Farmers like Ian know this and are taking matters into their own hands.
Good for fucking Ian. I hope he doesn't die. I hope they don't whack him.
Y tenemos tierras suficientes y tenemos miles de jóvenes que están dispuestos a sembrar, pero no tienen el conocimiento.
Yo, time to teach them.
Hay que darle conocimiento a la gente.
Education is so invaluable. It's so sad how much I hate school, but I do realize the gift and like the power of education. It's just you have to learn things that are actually useful, not fucking PEMDAS I guess is useful, but like not all this like advanced bullshit in college you're never gonna use in real life.
They don't want us.
It's actually crazy, but yeah. I feel like there's so much stuff that just like isn't working well or is getting worse. It's like I don't understand how everything isn't collapsing. I really don't. But anyway, yeah, pretty good video. Let's go next.
If you're quiet...
Oh, look, it's Mr. Wonderful. Quiet quitting. Suck my cock, you bald asshole.
Quitter, you're a loser.
You're
okay,
a loser.
I'll play the game with you. We'll admit that quiet quitting's making bad employees right after corporate America admits that quiet hiring's making bad employers.
Ooh, what's
quiet hiring?
Yes.
Oh, that's a new phrase that we've coined. It describes the fact that none of us remember applying for all these extra jobs that we're getting.
Oh, this is exactly what's happening in my job, and I'm too much of a bitch to stand up and say anything because I want money. I'm scared to get fired, but I want to get fired. I'm in the middle ground. I don't know what to do. But yo, oh my god, this is what happens to me.
But it hadn't stopped you from giving them to us. That's right, big corporations. You took out a large chunk of the working class when you decided that we were all essential till we were expendable.
Yeah.
And after laying off majority of our co-workers, you took a big bite of that government cheese, and now they want you to pay it back. But your legal team found you a little loophole. As long as you can keep reporting losses, you don't have to pay them back. Losses like, can't replace these employees. But you also know that we're in a right-to-work state, so you can just keep piling on that work, knowing that you could terminate us at any point in time. But you won't say that out loud.
Disgusting.
Don't worry, your army of yes-men will do that for you.
I forgot what it's called. I think he just said it, but it really just like flew out of my mind. But I think at will work, which is I think basically what it is, where they can hire you and fire you for any reason. Sorry, not hire you for any reason. They can fire you for any reason, but you can also leave for any reason. So it is a two-way street, but this shit is so evil because they can literally fire you for any arbitrary reason, where if they just don't like you, if they can't take advantage of you, you're gone.
That's right, your army of toxic micromanagers are going to show that the company has spent zero money in leadership and development. Instead of building a team environment where everybody feels respected and appreciated, they like to rule by fear.
That's how my job rules. They track my time. As the mail person.
Mostly the fear that they'll lose whatever little bit of money and the title that gives them vindication for the 6 years of college that they spent on a degree that has nothing to do with the relevance of the field that they're in now.
Oof, that hurts my heart. Even though I only spent 4.
Don't be discouraged, though. Corporate America finds that tiny little piece of paper far more important than your ability to do your job.
That's very true.
But don't worry, your job's not to work, your job's to supervise.
That's the best thing to do. It's basically you want to be the middleman. This isn't even the way it is in nature. In nature, the animals at the top, even like, even with monkeys, right? The apex monkey in like a tribe of monkeys is basically always stressed because there's people always like trying to claw at him for his position. Because I don't know why they want to be the leader, but they do. But being the leader comes with a lot of stress, where the head monkey was always stressed, always in poor health, barely slept because he had to keep his position. The bottom monkeys were bullied. The people at the bottom of the totem pole were always shitted on. The middle is where you want to be. You want to supervise. You don't want to be a grunt worker. You don't want to be the CEO. You want to supervise. Well, maybe you do want to be the CEO, because even if you're canceled, you still have a shit ton of money. But you want to supervise. That's like, I think, the best middle ground.
You can delegate those tasks to us as well. all while constantly reminding us how easily replaceable we are.
And shitting on
But
us.
keep recording record profits,
Yup.
all while defunding the things that kept your employees there in the first place,
Yup.
like good health care, retirement, and fair pay. You've
401ks,
created an
what's
environment
that?
where there's no incentive for us to do well, and you
Pensions?
pay us
What are
enough
those?
just to where we won't quit.
Exactly.
So,
Or you pay us enough to where, like, if we quit, we won't really have a lot to, like, last us for a while, so we have to stay working because everything's so expensive. You're giving us just enough to survive, not enough to thrive, and not enough to save.
work enough just to where we won't get fired.
Exactly. Yo, quiet quitting, my favorite thing ever. And as the comment here says, if my pay for my position is below median wage, below average work, median, average work, above median, above average work, you get what you pay for. I never heard anything better. You get what you pay for. I'm capable, I would like to think, not of much, but of decently good work at a quick pace, if that's what you're going to pay me for. If you're going to pay me to where I can't even afford food, to where every week I have to get $1 fries at McDonald's with the special Friday deal, which, you know, doesn't even exist anymore because the dollar menu's gone. So I have to spend like $1.50 to $2 on like a drink to get free medium fries. And that's my lunch every week that I can buy, aside from apples. I'm not going to work too hard for you, especially when I ask and you tell me no, even though you make so much money. And everyone knows you make so much money. So I can speak from personal experience where I definitely feel like this is true. Maybe it's not the majority of people, maybe I'm in the minority, but it's still true at some level. So it's fucking bullshit. Let's go next.
The case of the boy who went missing for 8 years has just had one of the most unbelievably dark twists.
What the fuck is this?
Following the story, after seemingly disappearing while walking his dogs, Rudy was found alive in a bad condition on Thursday. Almost a decade later, slumped outside of a church. His mother said that he was non-verbal, so couldn't talk to anyone, but wrote multiple all-caps paragraphs about how happy she was to finally have her Rudy back. But today, police, along with a counselor, managed to isolate him from his mother and ask him where he...
Dude, look at him. They're putting him like in a blanket. That's so sad.
Been all of these years. And what he told them brought this man to tears. He said that when he was reported missing by his mother, he actually returned home just 2 days later, but that he was forced to go into hiding because his mother said that he would be arrested and put in prison for trying to run away. He told police that for years his mother would lock him in his room and force him to take severe hallucinogenic drugs like mushrooms and LSD.
What the fuck?
She sexually and physically abused him. That she forced him to sleep in her bed and play daddy. And that when investigators would come around, she would keep him hidden in the home, all while publicly pleading for his safe return. She even started several fundraisers to help the search. The counselor said that Rudy's mother would allow him to visit some of the neighbors under an assumed name, because she believed that it had been so long that people would have forgotten about the case, and that with a different name, they wouldn't put two and two together. But
that's insane.
As it stands right now, these are all officially just allegations and the case is still ongoing. But as soon as police release a statement or charge someone, of course, I'll keep you guys updated.
So this is where I don't remember me sending myself an update to this case, but let's just assume even half the shit here is true, right? Because again, they are allegations, but bro, what the fuck? This should just go to show you, right? And I'm a big believer of this. Number one is people are animals. We're people, sure, but at the end of the day, we come from nature. We're similar to the animals out there too. We are fucking based. We are depraved. We are violent. We are vicious. We're fucking not good for, you know, some of us. Like deep down, we have very violent and disgusting urges and like wants and desires, I feel like, where a lot of it is suppressed psychologically. I'm not going to go into like the ego, the id, and the superego here, but essentially, I feel like there's a lot of things that people are capable of that are evil that, you know, are just sitting right below the surface, and sometimes it comes out with these fucking whack jobs. But it's like, look at how much evil we're capable of. This was her own son. You know, assuming this is somewhat true, this guy's mother, this boy's mother made him play daddy. What? Bro, this should just go to show you like how sick society is. And again, I always say, this is what we've seen. Imagine what we don't see, because there's a lot more that we don't see that's probably worse. I like the comment from Nick here. Netflix finna go crazy. Yeah, they really are. Anyway, let's go next.
Hey.
Hey.
Real quick. In yesterday's episode of Stuff Keeps Happening, I mentioned that the United States is not currently in a recession. I did also note that...
Mind you, this came out a month and a day ago, 7-6. Today is 8-7 at 2 a.m.
Us not being in a recession doesn't mean that we aren't having financial woes. I want to drill this point home a little further. We are not in a recession. We're also not okay. Both of those are true at the same time. And that's why we're saying that this system is failing us. Recessions are sort of a feeling in the first place, and the definition changes based on who you ask. And also, they're kind of just declared by some organization that says we are or are not in a recession.
So I believe a recession is when GDP, which is gross domestic product, which I guess is just the sum of everything we sell, is negative for 2 quarters, so aka 6 months. So for 6 months, if our gross produce, our gross money making is negative from what? God if I know, but negative, then we are technically in a recession. That's what I've heard, but I don't know. Again, how do you define these things, and like, are the statistics real? Are we getting the accurate information? Because I already know for a fact the government fudges a lot of numbers, but you know, who knows?
So it's all kind of bullshit in the first place.
I agree.
But the fact of the matter is, people are having trouble affording anything.
Yes.
The rental market is out of control,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
housing market is virtually inaccessible for a lot of people right now. Like,
and a lot means a majority. Like, again, if 60% of Americans don't even have $1,000 of savings, that's 60% who can't afford a home.
most people, like almost everyone, eating a healthy diet is expensive.
Facts.
And speaking of health, getting health care without going bankrupt is essentially impossible.
That's why I have no insurance.
Millions of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
And still going negative.
Millions of Americans would be bankrupt if there was just a, like, what, $600 charge?
Insane.
I've been hearing about this for years.
So have I.
For so long.
I'm sick of it.
And it's getting worse.
What the fuck?
And so when we talk about the economy and we talk about a recession, we're not talking about the average person. We're talking about the economy from the perspective of the owning class. The people who have means. That would be notably impacted by an economic downturn. If you don't have means, the impact of an economic downturn is you're going hungry. And
oh my god, that's so depressing.
The fact that we have people going hungry and we're not even in a recession is horrifying.
Yes.
And so, wow, weird. People are starting to seek alternative systems and
I wonder
questioning
why.
the existing system that we have. If we're not in a recession and things are working as intended, why aren't we more comfortable?
Why does everything suck?
Why can't you buy a house if you work full time?
Oh, that's the best question that's been asked.
Why can't you afford groceries to eat a healthy meal for your whole family off of one income? Remember the atomic family that we were supposed to have?
Doesn't exist anymore.
One income, another person staying at home taking care of household chores, and you can sustain that?
Now you need both people working, and even then you still might not make it.
But suddenly asking for a full-time
and especially now when things like, you know, with my generation, or I guess the generations around me, we got a lot of problems with like making relationships, man. I feel like there's like a big epidemic of loneliness with, at the very least, men. Because I feel like, you know, it is what it is, but I don't feel like women have this problem as nearly bad as men do. Men, it's hard for some of us to get into a relationship. I mean, look at me, right? Actually, take me out of the equation. I don't really do anything to try and get into one. Well, yeah, let's not get into that. But yeah, most men, I feel like, are having trouble getting into a relationship. A lot of men of my generation, I feel like, are single, where compared to other generations before us, it wasn't this big, or it wasn't this much of a problem.
Income to provide a comfortable life is too much to ask.
Yeah.
And so let's be clear, that's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for something way past that, because that would have been nice to continue to have.
Because the previous generations had it.
But we haven't had that in decades.
Ridiculous.
What we need now is a correction.
We need a revolution.
What we need now is equity. What we need now is an overhaul. Recession or not, it doesn't matter. You don't need a chart that's going up and down to tell you that you're hungry.
Yeah.
What if instead,
oh my God.
your countrymen were just, you know, doing okay? Okay, bye.
I love this video, man. I love this guy. This guy is so cool. But yeah, oh my god, it's so crazy. And again, the saddest part is, with the video that started this whole episode out, we make a TikTok video, we cry about it, and then that's it, we done. We turn off our phones, we do the same thing. What the fuck, man? Nothing's gonna change. It's just gonna keep getting worse. It's so sad. Anyway, let's go next. Hey. Oh my god, this is loud as shit. People ask you what they could do since it was the warmest day in human history. Oh, look, environment stuff again. If
you do one thing today, listen to these words and look at this data.
And assume it's true.
The uncomfortable truth is that your life and the generations that come after you
are fucked.
And all life on Earth
is
dependent upon what you do now in the time that you have left on this planet.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy because I've said this before where it's like, why do I have to live in what I feel to be one of the most critical points in history, right? Like, I couldn't get lucky and live in a time period where nothing was really going on, where it wasn't that bad. No, I had to live at the point in history where we've evolved. If you take all of our history as humans, right, and you compare it to right now, looking backwards, because looking forward, who knows what's going to turn into, right? But looking backwards, in the last 100 years, we have advanced beyond anything exponentially from what we've done in the past, like in our whole history as humans on this earth. In our existence, in the past 100 years, we have just surpassed everything, and we've blown it out of the water with a nuke. Like, it's crazy how much has happened technologically, like, just, you know, I was gonna say evolution wise, we're not evolving. Well, maybe we are. But you know, just like technologically, how much we're pushing, how much we've advanced, it's actually insane. If you put on a graph, it'd be like an exponential graph that's like, you know, it's going slightly up, you know, every 100,000 years, every million years, it's going slightly up, slightly up, slightly up, and then the past 100 years just shoots straight up, you know, 90-degree angle. It's actually insane that of all the times to be alive, we are alive here where the most change is happening, where the most problems are occurring, and like, it's such a hard transition, man. I feel like if we end up surviving and not killing ourselves, the future generations, if we fix everything, are just gonna have it so easy, and they're gonna look at our generation, our time, be like, yeah, that was the like generation that had to deal with the change, that had to deal with like the adjustment to like all this stuff. But now we're good. But they had to suffer for it. It's like, man, what the fuck?
Yesterday, July 4th, 2023, was the warmest day across the globe on record as far as humans have collected data.
Oh, good lord.
This is a direct result of human-caused climate change.
Oh my
now
God.
is where I do my best to try and point you in the right direction. World leaders have failed us, and they have failed all life on Earth, and are complicit and criminal in their ecocide. So, what are we left to do? Are we left to continue begging and asking politely to do the right thing when they're
Or are we gonna do the opposite, which is more violent?
Our entire system is built off of fossil fuel industries and capitalistic systems.
Ooh.
They will not do the right
They
thing.
won't.
So, as a people,
As long as it's not profitable.
we must do the right thing. Collectively, as a people, we must join in together.
I like how they put emojis there because they can't write it or else it will get suppressed by TikTok.
In global rebellion and revolution, for we are at a time.
Big facts. But anyway, yeah, I'm not advocating for violence as always. But yeah, man, things need to change. But again, we might just be already fucked. So, at least my generation isn't as fucked as the ones that come after. So, it is what it is. Sadly.
Today on Asians Changing the World, we have 16-year-old Natasha Kolviwat, who
Oh.
as a junior in high school may have potentially found a physiological connection to suicide. And yes,
What?
she did win $50,000 for it. As only a junior at Jericho Senior High School,
That's crazy how she's not even a senior, by the way.
Natasha conducted a study where she compared 10 brains of people who died by suicide.
How the fuck was she able to compare brains in 11th grade? Yo, does she have a rich family behind her?
To 10 brains of people who died by other causes. And what she found was that in the people that died by suicide, there was a higher number of inflammatory cytokines, which essentially is just protein secreted by your cells. And what she found was that specifically in the brain, that the inflammation happened in specific proteins called Claudin-5, which essentially are
Claudin.
blood-brain barriers.
Yes,
which essentially
yes.
means that Claudin-5 plays a very important role in regulating what passes from the blood into your brain. Now, the reason why this matters is up until this point, suicide has always been evaluated as a psychological issue.
That's
determined
true.
by stress outliers like your job, things like that.
Mental
and of course,
issues.
a lot more study on this needs to be done, but if what Natasha found is true, it essentially means that there may be a physiological reason and a marker for us to study, evaluate, be able to prevent and help people who are prone to suicide. Which
Wait,
also means
so you could be physically prone to suicide? or suicide ideation? What?
That because suicide has been seen as a psychological issue, it also hasn't had the amount of research that other things like cancer and Parkinson's and other physiological diseases have had. And between the fact that suicide isn't always taken so seriously, especially by the medical field, and tied with the fact that it is a growing leading cause of death amongst young people.
Yeah, and you know, amongst who? Men.
Natasha's discovery may be the first right step.
How the fuck did an 11th grader do this? Like, that's amazing, sure, but it's also kind of like shameful to medical professionals that an 11th grader did this.
In helping to prevent and help people who are prone to suicide.
Like the fuck?
And while I want to say that she's only 16 years old, what do you expect from a 16-year-old who's already interned at Columbia, Harvard Medical, and has already started a company to help tutor people in STEM programs for free? From all of us, Natasha, thank you for all of the amazing work that you are going to do in your life. And
so she's a go-getter. She's definitely going places in life. Good for her, man.
I leave you with Natasha accepting her award.
The recipient of the Gordon E. Moore Award for Positive Outcomes for Future Generations. From Jericho, New York, Natasha Koviwat.
Yeah, Natasha, yeah.
I didn't expect first place, let alone a top award. So to hear it,
yo, she looks so happy. I'm so happy
I'm hoping to major
for
in
her.
neurobiology, and right now I'm currently conducting suicide research. So I'm just gonna keep continue doing that. I'm very passionate about what I'm
I'm actually surprised she's not very like I was gonna say awkward, not awkward, but she's not like scared of social situations, especially considering she's 16. Again, I feel like a lot of the younger generation is gonna be socially fucked from like social media and stuff. They're definitely gonna be like a lot more incapable than even I am. But it's good to see she's not, she's going places. Good for her. Little ray of hope in the dark dimension.
Wait a minute, the Supreme Court actually struck down Biden's student debt cancellation plan? Yep.
Yes.
Thankfully, we were able to stop this radical plan from hurting our states. You would have been hurt by this. Oh yeah, that was like one of our main arguments. Me and my friends here banded together to basically say that this federal relief plan would hurt Mohila, a massive federal student loan servicer based out of my state.
Well, no duh. No duh, if you don't have to pay back federal student loans, the servicer of those loans isn't gonna get paid back and they're gonna be in pain. No duh.
We sued on their behalf. Actually, we don't want to be a part of this lawsuit at all. Wait, what? Yeah, obviously.
Wait,
otherwise,
what?
we would have just filed a lawsuit ourselves.
Wait, so Mohila didn't even do it, the state did it for them?
Also, our emails leaked showing how confused our employees were to be a part of the lawsuit at all. Some of them literally asking, are we the bad guys?
Dude, I'm so glad for leaks. Again, it makes me question, are these really leaks or did someone quote-unquote leak these to try and push a narrative? Like, are these actual leaks or were they planned?
Well, it doesn't
You question everything.
matter. You're in Missouri, so if you get hurt, we get hurt. Yeah, but you don't? We're a corporation, completely financially independent from the state of Missouri. In fact, we could have reportedly gained revenue from this relief plan. Well, there were other states besides Missouri. Yeah, but for some reason...
So why the fuck did they block this?
You used us as, like, your main example.
As the scapegoat.
In your oral argument, you reportedly said our name 142 times. We were...
What the fuck?
We're a huge part of this final decision, despite never even showing up to court. Oh, wait a minute, this whole thing sounds super shady. It's almost like you guys didn't actually have any personal stake in this relief plan. You just disagreed with it. That's crazy talk. Who would say that?
Wow, the rich people.
Literally Supreme Court Justice Kagan in her dissent letter. Yeah, well, shut up. Wait.
Wow. More corruption. More corruption. Wow.
Hey everyone.
What the fuck is this? What are we looking at here?
I'm alive. I just wanted to hop on here because 24 hours after the bosses made all these promises.
Oh, the UPS stuff, the UPS stuff.
UPS workers, when asked to put it in writing, they walked away from the bargaining table.
Of
now
course.
It's seeming like a strike is imminent on...
Whenever you need anything, and this is something I've learned especially with my job here, like, with my job I have now, always get it in writing. Always get it in writing. Like, you might seem like the dickhead for asking for it, just be like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal, just kind of have it in writing. And if they say, oh, if it's not a big deal, then we're not going to put it, then be like, okay, well, it's not a small deal either. Like, I want it right. If they're good people, or if they're going to give it to you anyway, let them give it to you in writing. Like, bro, what the hell is this? Also, what the fuck is on my grape? What the fuck is this shit? What the hell? I just grabbed a grape, but there's like a shit on it. What the hell is that? That's a little scary. I feel like that's like a spider egg or something. What the fuck? I kind of want to look it up right now, but I'm recording the video. Shit. Okay, now I don't want to eat these grapes anymore. Now I'm scared.
And so it's not just going to be packages that are affected. Teamsters actually deliver a lot of food. And so it's probably a good idea to stock up on stuff, one. And two, when things start to get hard, don't be blaming the driver who doesn't have air conditioning.
That's a big fact.
Doesn't make a living wage to.
It's a big fact. Do not blame those people, man. Do not blame the people who are suffering, who are just trying to make it better
for the stuff we need
for themselves and for everyone else.
Definitely blame the person with a vacation home and millions of dollars of labor that they never did in their entire fucking life.
And vacation home, he should be saying 3 vacation homes.
And simultaneously, the same people denying dignified working conditions for the people who deliver on the promises that they make to their shareholders. So, solidarity. See you on the picket line.
Big facts. So, like I said, this is something where this whole UPS thing has kind of already been dealt with and it's over. But I don't want to spoil the surprise of what happened. So anyway, let's go next.
Well, the Republican Study Committee just released their fiscal blueprint for 2023, and y'all, to say that it's horrifying is a sweeping understatement.
Oh shit. More stuff about Republicans.
Republican Study Committee, of course, is a group of 175 Republican House members. They represent about...
Let me write this episode name down. The Anti-Republican episode. Let's just write that down real quick.
About 70-75% of the Republican caucus. And they claim their budget plan will solve the debt crisis, which, by the way, is not necessarily a crisis and only exists because of the Bush and Trump tax cuts. Either way, their plan proves once again that Republicans hate working Americans.
I mean, at least that's what we've been hearing.
Check out the highlights from this proposal. First, it raises the age for Social Security benefits from 67 to 69.
Nice. I like the number, but God, I hate the reality of what that means. 2 extra years of working.
That's a cut, folks. Something Republicans promised they would never do.
Yeah, but they didn't put it in writing, so it's just all talk.
Republican plan would privatize Medicare. It also repeals Medicare's new power to negotiate drug prices.
If you repeal it, that's actually evil. If you, stop Medicare's ability to, negotiate drug prices, that means companies, I forgot who produced it, but the companies that produce, insulin are going to be charging it for the hundreds of dollars when they can literally make it for a quarter. Well, maybe not literally, but figuratively, around there.
Stop rapid drug price increases and cap the price of insulin. This budget also
Look, she even mentioned insulin too.
Slashes funding for the ACA and Medicaid. This would strip healthcare from tens of millions of Americans, but it would also end critical protections for people with pre-existing health conditions. But wait, there's more. This budget would increase defense spending by 3% while slashing, and I mean horror movie slashing, non-defense spending. As you know, who cares about hungry children as long as you have fighter jets? This budget
Man, fuck the fighter jets. Put the children in the fighter jets. Why don't we do that?
Also includes every anti-abortion provision you can think of. Calls for an end to funding for the radical green agenda. In fact, everything that keeps our air and water clean is cut. Eliminate.
Oh, nice. Let's drink piss water.
It's funding for the Community Development Block Grant Program. Eliminates funding for the National Endowment for the Arts. And bye-bye Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
No, PBS.
Oh, but it would provide ample funding to finish the border wall. But here's where it gets really rich. This budget plan proposes a $5.1 trillion tax cut over the next 10 years. And this will surprise exactly no one, but those tax cuts are geared towards the rich and corporations.
God bless America.
Remember, for Republicans, if you don't own a private jet, you're basic. The budget blueprint closes with these
and those are so bad for the environment too.
Words. The key to growth and flourishing communities is freedom from the burdens of government. But what Republicans really want to be free of, what they find burdensome, is us.
It honestly feels like that.
The very citizens they're supposed to serve. Never forget it and vote accordingly.
Yeah.
Well,
again, this is pretty much the anti-Republican episode. It's sad, but it is what it is. I didn't mean for it to get this way. They're poisoning me. They hear me talking against them. Oh my god. There was so much salt on that fry. Holy shit. Okay, let's go next. We're running out of time. It's almost 2:30.
Scientists are going to jail.
Oh my god.
Those in a position to know have a duty to act.
Yes.
And if we don't...
Yo, look, I think that was the guy who, like, handcuffed himself to Chase, right? Oh, shit, it was!
Have a duty to act.
He locked himself to Chase.
And if we don't act now, we will wish we really had.
That's
My
what I
name is
keep
Janine
hearing.
O'Keefe, and I'm an engineer. I've looked and understood climate breakdown, and I see the need for our society to change and to change quickly. Scientists are scared. NASA scientists are scared. IPCC scientists are scared. Many scientists are stepping up to use non-violent civil disobedience.
Oh my G, it looks like they're breaking his fucking neck.
To change our society quickly.
You know what's so sad too? What the fuck are the police supposed to do in this situation? Because if one officer thinks this shit's wrong and he doesn't do it, he gets fired or he gets, like, in trouble, and the other officers are just gonna take the guys away anyway. So unless they all agree, which, with how mob mentality and group mentality works, especially with how leadership controls people, being in a managerial position and, like, not taking responsibility yourself but putting on someone else works, especially in all the experiments that are there. I forgot the name of them, but the famous shock experiment. It's really hard to change this stuff, man. I feel bad, like, a little bit for the cops too, because, like, what choice do they really have unless they all agree, which is very hard to do.
Mike now has several years. Nico will be in trial this month. Henrik was convicted last week.
Henrik,
all in different countries, but the repression is happening. Look at science. See what is happening.
See, this is sad. Like, it's literally science. Like, it's fact, and they're ignoring fact and information. Because they just care about money.
Failure is so clear for us all. So we need to step up. Science.
This is very sad, man. Very, very sad. And the worst part is, if you speak out, like, in favor of this and stuff, eventually people are going to go to you and they're going to, like, micro-analyze your life. And they're going to be like, you talk about climate change and how you like it, but you have an AC. Did you know an AC produces greenhouse gases? Oh, you didn't take the time to look that up? Do you really care about the environment? Or do you just want to say it for other people and not for yourself? It's like, bro, you can't even do anything good. Like, of course I'm going to have an AC, right? Of course I'm going to use the things. I'm not going to be a psycho and, like, do everything that's perfect for the environment. Of course I'm going to do stuff too that's not as good for the environment, but this all goes into the idea of, like, we're not even the main perpetrators. It's all the big corporations, or the majority of it is. It's so sad. But anyway, let's go next.
So we
I want to get
absolutely
as far as we can.
Have to talk about the Supreme Court today. Because as we were gearing up for the 4th of July weekend, the conservative court just dropped some bombs, deciding on Friday to massively undermine LGBTQ plus rights in a 6-3 decision with all 3 liberals dissenting.
So we've heard about this case before. This is the case of the lady where she didn't want to, like, do stuff for gay people even though she was never asked to.
Specifically, this case involved a web designer in Colorado by the name of Lori Smith who wanted to expand to wedding sites. But because of her Christian religious beliefs, she only wanted to design the sites for heterosexual couples and to put up a message on her page explaining the situation. The thing is, though, that violated a Colorado non-discrimination law, so Smith sued, arguing...
Well, this is where federally, like, I think federal trumps everything. Federal Trump state.
The law violated her right to free speech. And in court filings, Smith and her lawyers cited a gay couple by the name of Stuart and Mike. And according to the filings, Stuart had reached out to Smith about hiring her for some design work and included his phone number, email address, and a link to his own design site. With that story being cited in other court documents as the case continued, with Smith's lawyers using it when they were questioned about whether Smith had actually been receiving requests from gay couples. There being a...
And here's the kicker. Ready? It's coming up.
Question of, do you have sufficient grounds to sue? And so ahead of the Supreme Court's decision on this case, the New Republic reached out to Stuart using the unredacted contact info listed in the filings. When the outlet asked him about his inquiry named in this case, he was...
And here it is.
Responded that this was the very first time I've heard of it. So yeah, it seems like the whole fucking story was made up.
Wow. More fake shit that we thought was real. It's crazy.
Stuart claiming that he never sent the form, and what's more, he literally has been married to a woman for 15 years.
So the guy wasn't even gay.
And adding that he was concerned about the fact that no one seemed to have verified his story.
This is where, again, a major thing is people take some of this stuff as truth. And, I'm, like, not the best advocate for this because I don't fact check. Not because I don't think to, but because I'm lazy as shit and I don't have time and I'm depressed. But this is where other people don't even think to fact check. Like, I think to fact check, but I'm like, I don't really care. This is where other people don't even think of that shit. And look, he was concerned, like, no one fact checked this. This guy's literally not gay, married to a woman, and he never did this. So this whole thing is a sham. I honestly think it's the lady just trying to get money or get attention or something. Who knows? Because, any coverage is good coverage, if you can spin it right. But anyway, I think we're gonna end it here because it's 2:26 a.m. and I don't want to be doing this too long. And this is supposed to be like an appendage to the other episode, even though I'm not gonna combine them. But let's see how far we got. So we got right here. So we are literally 1 month behind again. God fucking damn it! So by the time we do this on Friday again, at that point we're gonna be behind like a couple days, a month and a couple days. But it is what it is. But anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed this also slightly small episode, this hour episode. If you guys enjoy the hour episodes, tell me. I'll do these more. I'll try and limit it, even though I'm not that good at it. But we'll see. But anyway, big advertisement for my Twitch channel. Go there, twitch.tv/Tecnics channel. Hope everyone enjoyed.